welcome to Wisdom on the Front Porch. And on my front porch at this moment is Lindsay. And I'm so glad you're, I love that photograph. Well, both of the photographs behind you. One looks like an ocean scene, and the other looks like you're all holding hands in the snow. That is so
Yeah,
pretty.
yeah. Well, the one there is like probably about 8 years old now. So my little people, they're teenagers now, girls, two teenage
Oh,
girls. So they're much bigger, but it's one of my favorite photos. So I keep it
yeah.
up.
It's beautiful. It looks like a little black and white photo, but it's really pretty. And it's just y'all holding hands walking in the snow. I guess it's snow, is it?
I think it is actually a beach, not
Oh,
snow.
okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
but
That could be.
yeah, it's beautiful. And then that one above is when my husband and I, before kids, went traveling in Australia, and that's
Oh,
along the roads there. So yeah, both just things that really keep me focused, keep me going, motivate me to be the best that I can be. So I love them.
that's awesome. You got to have something like that.
Exactly.
I've got for those who are watching the video, I'll move my screen and you can see I've got a wall of artwork from family and friends and there's some of my stuff and I love it. It's just energizing. Sorry if you can hear my dogs, but if you have dogs live on a ranch, you got cows that think they're babies and can just walk through the fence, they're gonna bark. I'm gonna have to set up a trail cam, I think, to figure out how she's getting through the fence. But that's for another show, not this one. So, Lindsay, tell us about yourself. Who are you? What do you do?
Oh, well, this could be hours. No, I am very much well, an open book for the most part. I always say who you see on camera or here is who you get in real life. I think that's one of my biggest pride moments. But I am a mother. I have two teenage daughters. I am a wife. I have a husband that we've been married 23 years this year, and my family and I live in central Mexico, even though we're Canadian. We moved here almost 7 years ago now. I run a business. My husband and I run it together. So that's, a really exciting, fun, challenging sometimes event. But,
Yeah.
we do and enjoy that. I've been in the health and fitness industry for 24 years now. It evolved multiple times, but I came online exclusively in 2016, well before Zoom or, anything
Oh,
was
yeah.
known. Nobody knew what I was talking about when I was like, you want to jump on a Zoom? They didn't know. Now
Yep.
it's like, is it your Zoom or mine? It's a
That's
very
right.
different world that we live in. But yeah, I've been growing my business. I've been, my husband and I have been doing this together since we moved to Mexico, and we really love working. I work specifically with women over the age of 45 who are entrepreneurs, CEOs, leaders who use the business mindset that has made them successful to then move it into their health and fitness. And so I'm kind of like the bad cop on your shoulder, because we tend to be our own good cop. It's okay. We don't need to. It's fine. So I'm the one who's there with some tough love to be like, hey, let's keep you accountable. Let's make you unstoppable. So that has been kind of my evolution in this, because let's be honest, nobody likes being told what to do, and so we find ways to
Yeah.
make it, we always come back to the boring basics. It's we uncomplicate the BS. Our podcast is Cut the Noise, Wellness Simplified, because it is a disaster out there in the wellness and nutrition world. So we want to get rid of all of that and just figure out what's best for each individual person. So it's very personalized, never cookie cutter. And yeah, so we
Yeah.
do
Good.
lots of fun things with that.
Yeah, yeah, because everybody's so individual. And I liked what you said about you two working together. This first issue is coming out January 15th. So if you want to subscribe, you can get in on the first issue still. Um, but in there, I have not only our regular items from the columnists, what they've done, but since it covers 2 months, because there's only 6 issues a year, so we have February on there, which I thought it would be fun to interview couples who do a business together as entrepreneurs. All three of them are so different from each other. I think one thing that's remained the same through all of them is they had to learn how to work with each other because everybody's so different. And they found their strengths in each other, their weaknesses, and what one was strong in, the other was weaker in, just like in marriage. But that's really cool that the two of you do that. Um, so how did you end up working together? Did you start it out that way?
So no. So I went back to university when I was about 25 for nutritional sciences because I just fell in love with the idea of our bodies and how our food work. And so I did that. And I was lucky enough to do that because my husband worked in the corporate world and worked in the corporate world for 20 plus years. And, when I kind of brought this idea of I'm going to build our business online, we're going to have, location freedom, hence the Mexico thing. I'm going to retire you from corporate. I don't really think he believed me, if I'm going to be completely honest. But he had always been doing that stuff on the side. So he had always been doing
Yeah,
some training and coaching. He's a big into running and trail running and mountain climbing and stuff. So he'd always been doing that thing. And that was really his passion, where the corporate world, we called it the golden handcuffs because it was what kind of kept us going
right.
in terms
Yeah, I
so
actually looked that term up this weekend. It's like, what is this that everybody's talking about?
yeah, and it's funny. We've been saying it for years. I mean, he hasn't worked in the corporate world for 8 years now, but it was hard, right? Because you have
Yeah.
an income, and it was a very good
All these
income.
nice incentives.
We lived our life within that income. And so, when I did finally say I'm going to come online and we're going to have this location freedom, I'm going to retire you, as I said, I'm not sure he really believed it, but we got very serious, right? We had a bit of a health scare. We had a few things happen with some friends that passed away. And so something was just a really big push for us to be like, enough talking about this, like, let's do this.
Let's
And
just do it.
so yeah, when he retired himself from corporate in 2018, it was a little bit challenging for him because he had been there for so long and finding his identity after the fact, and I had said to him, my business is doing really well, why don't you join? And he had always been my sounding board, the person that I would speak to when I was upset, that
Nice.
kind of stuff. And so it kind of naturally happened. And so he
Good.
joined and started having some clients. And now he's the COO. He looks after all the good stuff that I don't know anything about. And I look after a lot of the front end stuff and work with a lot of clients. Now he does as well, but it's been an evolution as well, because as you said, we went from, we've been married a long time. Our communication was good. We had all of these, positive things from a marriage perspective, but then to bring it into a business perspective, which for a while was like, well, it's my business and you're just joining, to it's our business and we really want to do this together. So, I was actually just recently on a podcast that talked about love, and, I'm a big believer in love, and I think it gets a bad rap sometimes, but one of the things we talked about was business, raising teenagers and marriage. And all three of those things are very challenging, but we bring them
Yeah.
together, and it's not perfect, but we work really hard to make it work the best we can for the style and the people that we are, which, it works for us. So it's quite good.
Well, that's really good for those who are wondering if you hear a little sound in the background. I forgot to turn on some of my pretty lights, so I turned my lights on.
Very pretty.
But yeah, that's really cool. I like the way that you were already talking with him about the business and he was letting you use him as a sounding board and stuff. So he already was familiar with some of what was going on and how it worked. And you each have your separate roles, and that's good. You're not trying to outdo each other or anything like that.
No, and
Love
anyone
it.
who knows either one of us, we're very different in our approaches on how we do things.
Oh, yeah.
And it's great because there's certain people that, really resonate with him, who is a little bit more of a hard ass, who is a little bit more of a, tough love beyond, and I am as
Right.
well. Don't get me wrong. It always comes from a place of love, but, we have different approaches and we work with different types of people, and, it works really well. And because he loves certain parts of the financial side and the background, and he loves doing the website stuff, and I'm just like, no thank you.
Or,
So
dude.
actually, yeah, it works really well.
Awesome. That's really good. Yeah, I like that. There's a, well, anyways, uh, So, were your kids at home when you started being an entrepreneur, or had they already left home?
No, they were. So actually, that was what was the catalyst of starting my business originally. So I
Oh,
worked in big box gyms. I was a personal trainer and a fitness manager and nutrition coach. And then I got pregnant with my first daughter. And, I went back to work early here. Well, here in Canada, you had your whole 12 months, but I went back early and I lasted about a month and a half. And I decided I just didn't want to be away from her.
yeah.
And I was very lucky. My sister looked after her. I have a
Oh,
niece
nice.
very close in age. They're 5 weeks apart, and she would constantly send me photos and how fun they were having and giggles. And I think she was doing it because, it was one of those things that was trying to help me get through
Yeah.
it. And in
Yeah.
the
Not
end,
like you'd feel left out.
yeah, exactly. But it ended up talking me out of staying at work. So
Yeah.
I ended up quitting my job, and that's when my first business was really born. And I started as an in-house personal trainer. That extended to a mobile personal trainer. So I would drive to my clients with all of my equipment.
Okay.
Then I moved from that. We actually moved when my girls were 1 and 3 to Australia. So I had
Oh,
to
wow.
by and go through all of this other stuff. And I was introduced to life coaching and mindset work, which was kind of like the missing piece of the puzzle. So when I got back to Canada a year later, I did more of the lifestyle and life coaching and brought it all together. So they were young from the beginning. And so, my first daughter was 3 months old when I first started. And when I brought my business online in 2016, they were 5 and 7. So my husband worked a lot. He traveled a lot for work. I tried to look after them. I had to look after my business. And what ended up happening, anybody who's run a business, right, successfully, is I poured everything I could into my business because I had big dreams. I wanted to move. I wanted to retire my
Yeah.
husband and I wanted to do all these things. And my health suffered and my relationship suffered and my confidence suffered and I gained 40
Hmm.
pounds. And here I am as a fitness coach, a health coach, a nutrition coach who can't even look after herself. And it was
Yeah.
like, I am a fraud. So I had to find a better way. And, for the longest time, I'd always said the ways that I've been told that you should do or have to do within the fitness and nutrition industry is actually not true. But now here I was, lack of confidence, 40 pounds overweight, having zero time to look after myself. I had to find something that worked. And so
Right.
that really brought me to everybody is so different. Everybody's schedule is so different. How can we make it work? I always call it the boring basics that will make it successful for everybody. So first, of course, I tried out all myself because I'm my best guinea pig. And I lost the weight and I felt great. And as I did those things, my business boomed even more because my confidence level increased and
Oh,
all of these
yeah.
things started happening. And so it came to the idea that it was like, hold on a second. Not only am I a health and fitness coach, so that's good, my expertise, my education, etc. But now I understand also the business side of things. I was able to build my business with my mindset in, understanding, tracking, making it super simple, finding ways to fit it into my schedule and not the other way around. Right? I always say I'm the laziest nutritionist known to man because I hate cooking. I hate meal prepping. I hate grocery shopping, but I can't be the only one. So then I was like, okay, other people feel the same way as I do. We don't want to measure our food. We don't want to do these things. And in our head, because the fitness and nutrition industry has told us for years, you have to in order to be successful. And I've disproven that, not just with myself, but with hundreds of clients that I've worked with, because you don't
Oh,
have to do it
nice.
one way. You have to do it the way that works for you. And that's it. And that's the magic, right?
Hmm.
People want the magic pill. They want the magic wand. They want the magic bullet. That's it. Stop trying to figure out how to fit yourself into a plan or into a coach or into a program. Find a way to get that to fit into your world. And it makes a huge difference.
That's awesome. That makes a lot of sense because we're not cookie cutters. We're very individual people and we have very different lifestyles. It's not like everybody is going to work 9 to 5, come home and do the same things. We're so many different. I mean, look at all the different jobs that people have, whether they're working for themselves or someone else. And even though you may have two nutritionists, they're doing it in very different ways and handling it differently. Um, and then you have those who have no kids at home, or those who have lots of kids or a few kids, whatever, young kids, or they've got teenagers, and life is different. It's changing all the time. It's fluid. I always think of life as a river. It's just fluid and flowing, and it just doesn't slow down for anybody. Might get over to the edge a little bit where it's a little slower or something, but uh, but yeah, to have something that fits you specifically is a great way to do that. So if somebody wants to come to you, do you have a website? How do they get a hold of you? Do they just find you on social media?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on all the social medias. It's under Lindsay Hack Coaching, but I have a website as well. It's called Hacktive Fit. For those of you who don't know, my name is Lindsay Hack. So our business is Hacktive Fit. We kind of did a play on words for that, but also
Nice.
because we like to hack the system because we don't believe that it's the way that you have to do. But yeah,
Right.
hacktivefit.com. I can be reached anytime. I love speaking to people because most of the time, if they send me an email or a message or a Facebook message or whatever, their questions usually come to the fact of, oh, I saw somebody doing keto, or I saw somebody doing, the carnivore diet, like, will that work for me? And a lot of the times, all these things work. You just have to pick one thing to work with for
Right.
you. And I think
Yeah.
that's a really important fact. So when people are asking me questions, I love questions. Please reach out, ask anytime. There's no stupid questions. People often are like, I'm sorry to bother you. No, I love it. This is one thing other than Mexico, moving to Mexico and my children. I love talking about this. So hook me up, send me a message, but know that it is all about individuals and their personalized plan. Right. I always say, in a cookie cutter world, we would live in, beakers like I did in my, nutrition 101 class, and I could create anything, but we're not. We are individuals. We have all of different things. We have hormones, especially, the older we get, the more hormones come into play for that. And so there's lots of things that play into that. And so if somebody says this is going to work for you and it's a very cookie cutter plan, run away, send me a message. Please let me help you, because that's not the case. You have to figure out what works best for you.
Yeah. And I see a lot of these pre-box foods, and it goes, oh, I eat so much healthier now. And it's like, well, does that mean you don't eat at fast food restaurants anymore? Because I'm looking at some of your stuff and it's processed, and it's like, oh, that's not that healthy.
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm not going to
it's
mention any names, but it's like, people are going to that now. We don't want to go to the grocery store, like you said, or don't want to cook food. I don't want to do this or that. So just, give it to me in a box. But how healthy are those pre-made meals?
Yeah, and I mean, it's really hard, right? I mean, in Canada and the US especially, it's not made with the greatest ingredients. We're not dealing with, amazing ingredients and amazing food. But what I work with when I work with my clients and people who ask is again, we think that it's easier, faster, more cost efficient to do some of these things, boxes, takeout, whatever. And I always say it's not. I can whip together a dinner in 3 minutes. My goal in life is to not spend more than 15 minutes ever cooking or doing those things. And so when I'm telling you it's possible, most people are like, it feels like that's not possible. I'm like, I'm telling you because I live it. My husband and I live and breathe the easiest, not crazy ingredients, not, complicated meals. We are all about what's quick, what's simple, but also healthy because we want to eat well. And so I think, we have in this head that the faster the, takeout is, or the easier it is in a box or whatever, it's actually not true. You can make things super simple, super quick. You just have to know how to do it and then figure out what you like and don't like. And that's the other thing people often say. They come to me and they're like, well, I'm never going to run because I don't like running, or I'm never going to eat mushrooms because I don't like mushrooms. I'm like, of course you're not. Why would you ever run or eat mushrooms if you don't like that? What works for you,
Right.
what you're going to do long term, which means you do have to like it and enjoy it to a degree. So that's the other thing, is that they say, oh, the runners are the ones who are the healthiest, but my joints can't handle that. Okay, don't run. There's lots of other ways to get your body
Go
moving.
swimming.
Yeah, exactly. There's walking, there's moving, there's chair, there's so many things that we can do. And so we have this conceptual idea that health and fitness looks this way, right? It
Right.
looks a very certain way, and it can't, deviate from that plan. But that's not true. The truth of the matter is it looks whatever we need it to look to make it successful for you. And so
Yeah,
that's the beauty.
that's awesome. I love that. Yeah, because as you get older, your bodies continually change, and then what used to work for you, what you used to be able to, you can't do that anymore. Um, maybe you've been injured and you used to always do something a certain way. Well, now that your body's changed, you can't do things that way. So you've got to find new ways to do things. Um,
Right.
just speaking from experience for me, just getting to be an older woman, it's like I was never allergic to metal. Now I'm allergic to everything metal. I don't wear jewelry. I don't wear my wedding ring. I don't wear earrings because, unless they're plastic or wood, because it's just painful. Um, and the foods I eat are different. I'm still had my gallbladder out, but I'm still trying to find foods. I have to eat foods that aren't oily. I have to
Mm-hmm.
eat foods that aren't fried. So, fried chicken I absolutely love, but there's only a couple places. And I won't eat my fried chicken because I fry it in a lot of oil.
Right. Right.
It's
Well,
like, and my body can't handle that. So,
right. Well,
you know,
and the beauty, when we look at what's going on, and whether it be the heavy metal or whether it be your gallbladder, all of these things
yeah,
change who and how we have to react to it,
yes,
right?
yeah,
And oftentimes, so I mean, this time of year, especially, people are like, "Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to change that. I'm going to change that." My first question usually is, "Well, how has that worked for you in the past?" That's the first thing,
yeah,
because usually it's like, "Well, not so well. By February, I've usually lost momentum, etc." Okay, so that's the
right,
first thing. So if it didn't work so well in the past, maybe we should try something different. The second thing is, if it's not working now, so like you say, if you're injured or you have a new allergy you never knew about or something, whatever it
yeah,
is that's going on, you have to make those changes as you go. And so I think what happens is people get set in this idea that it has to be this, like chicken. Okay, chicken and broccoli is like the pinnacle of health according to the gurus out there. It's totally not, by the way. And I have a
Oh, I'm
client
so
who's
glad to
allergic.
hear that.
And I have a client who's allergic to chicken. And for the longest time, she's like, "Well, I'll never be able to lose weight because I'm allergic to chicken and I have to eat chicken." And it's like, absolutely, you do not have to eat chicken. You don't have to eat chicken and broccoli bland. You don't have to do these things, but we have to make
Nice.
those changes so that they work for you. It's kind of like fried chicken, right? You have to find either a restaurant that doesn't use heavy oil, or maybe try an air fryer recipe that doesn't have
Yep,
heavy oil, see if it works. Finding things that actually work
yep.
now where you are, right? And I say old woman is a bad word in my world because I'm like, I refuse to believe that I'm getting older. This is just my
Oh, no.
longevity
I
and
love
my
being an
mobility.
old woman. I worked hard to get here,
Yeah, okay,
but
so
it's
that is
different
true.
life.
Yes, you can deserve it from that perspective, but I have clients who are like, "Oh, I have a lot of back pain. I'm just old." And I'm like, "No, you have a lot
No,
of back pain because you sit all day and you don't do a lot of
or you
movement."
slouch.
Right. So let's change that. I
Get up and
refuse.
dance.
I refuse to accept the fact that just because you think I'm old is the reason for it. No, yes, we have to make some modifications or changes, or maybe your knees aren't going to be as happy doing certain things, but we
Right.
make those changes so that you can continue. I mean, my ultimate goal is to live as long and as healthy, mobile, and independent as I possibly can.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's
Absolutely.
what we do to move forward. And it's the same with running a business. If you are healthy, you're happy, you're confident, you're in a good place, your business will run. But if you
Yep.
get sick, or I mean, as you know, if you have
Mhm.
struggles, your business suffers. And so what we
Yeah.
try to do is we help you be the strongest possible that you can be in a health perspective, in a movement perspective, and then your business will soar. And that's kind of
Yeah.
how we bring those together.
Definitely, because if you're not feeling good, you're gonna miss things. Yesterday I didn't feel good. I actually missed three shows, and I really apologize to the people for that. But I just couldn't keep track of time. This fever got me. I was really having a tough time, and thankfully they're gracious enough they rebooked with me. But but yeah, and I hadn't been doing everything I could to eat healthy and whatnot. We were traveling on the road, so it was, food that I wouldn't normally eat, and not getting the rest, and then coming home and all of a sudden it's cold, and then it's, you're inside where it's warm, and then you go outside where it's cold, and back and forth that way. And then of course, we're at a all day 3-day event, and I got just got to hug everybody, and who knows, maybe I got germs off of a doorknob somewhere, or
Right.
who knows where it came from. But I know that I had not been staying away from foods that I normally wouldn't eat, and there's some foods that, I was talking with somebody this morning on the show, that chocolate, I don't eat chocolate because now I have rosacea. I don't know if it's the oil in the chocolate, whatever it is. Um, and even some candies, like gummy bears, I don't think they have oil in them, but it's like I can't even have one. Um, so that's really frustrating. Um, but yeah, I just it's you just have to learn what to do. And for a while it was like, well, no, I can't have chocolate, but I can have this other stuff. And
Right.
so you find something else that works for you. You
Mhm.
find, um, when I started staying away from processed foods and reading the labels, and it was like I couldn't find anything that didn't have high fructose corn syrup in it. It was a challenge. And it's like, how in the world did this happen? Why does all of
Mhm.
our food have that in there? So I started finding, I would just keep looking, and more people were becoming aware of it too. So I think people were making, companies were making foods that didn't have that. They put in cane sugar or whatever. And I've always loved making food. Now me, I would spend 3 or 4 hours in a kitchen cooking and baking because I love that. I
Uh-huh.
love putting that love into the food, and I am not the best cook. It's like, no, I'll do all the prep work for my husband. He can cook it. It's amazing. But, everybody has something different. So,
Yeah. Well, and that's
yeah, I
really
love
why
what you say.
it's so important that you look at all the things. And that includes what you like, what you don't like,
Yeah,
allergies, things that are, seasonal where you might live. If
right.
you have issues with your back or your ankle, or maybe something's going on with your stomach, all of those things
Yeah,
play a part. And I think what happens when you buy just like a cookie cutter program, or you work with somebody who doesn't believe anything like I'm saying, is it's just, here it is. If you're not successful, that's your fault. And
yeah, and
that's
that's not right.
oh,
That's
and
not
there's
right.
there's so
Yeah,
many pieces to that, and I always say part of the accountability of what coaches provide is to turn around and say, how are things going? What's going on? How did that work in your stomach that time? Did you have any issues with that? So we're constantly giving feedback, tweaking, figuring things out, and that's how we see success.
right.
It's simple, but it's not easy, right? And I will say it's not easy. I mean, I've been through multiple weight loss gains myself, so I understand it. But it's the concepts are simple. We just have to figure out how to fit them into your world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Lindsay, how do people get a hold of you?
So again, if you want to check me out on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, I'm active on all three, to be fair, on LinkedIn a little bit more. And yeah, you can send me an email,
Awesome.
lindsay@hacktofit.com. I'm here to answer any questions.
That is so cool. I love that. Makes it quick, simple, and easy.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
But yeah. Well, thank you. Thank your audience for being here. I hope you really gained some valuable information from here. And we'll see you next time on Wisdom on the Front Porch.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us today on Wisdom on the Front Porch with your host, Ellis Kirkpatrick. You can find us on our website, wisdomonthefrontporch.com, see previous episodes of the podcast, and view issues of the magazine. Did you know you can submit questions, leave reviews, or suggest topics? You can also tell us where your favorite front porch location is and what it means to you. We hope you gain value and insight from today's or previous talks. We appreciate your support for us so we can continue to provide value and expertise to you and others. Subscribe to Wisdom on the Front Porch magazine and join in next week when we bring you another great insight into the world of entrepreneur culture and lifestyle. Make today a great day. Always believe that something wonderful is going to happen.